Got a little interesting story to read you. But before that, I want to mention what some stats out of the U.S. Mint are showing. That there's basically 50 times more silver being sold than gold. There's 50 times, in other words, for every dollar that's being put into gold, there's another dollar, 1-to-1, going into silver. But remember, gold's not 1900 anymore. Gold is, let's call it 1650. It's somewhere around there, an ounce. Silver is $30 an ounce, 31, 32, whatever. But what this article is saying, in the stats that I've read from the Mint, is basically saying for every dollar spent on gold, there's a dollar spent on silver. And since there's basically a 50-to-1 ratio or so from gold to silver right now, 50 ounces of silver buys you 1 ounce of gold, etc., roughly. Therefore, the math is that the demand is 1-to-1, and yet the price difference is 50-to-1. Again, which is again 50 ounces of silver buys you 1 ounce of gold. Yet the money is clearly flowing into silver, which is where I said it would go in relationship to, well, not necessarily in a relationship, but I told you about the silver to gold ratio. It used to be hovering around 65, 70 or so, or maybe the high was 65, somewhere around there, to 1. And then it miraculously went down to 35, I think, to 1. You could have practically doubled your money if you dumped it into silver instead of gold. Damn. So, anyways, it's now back to 50-to-1. And yet, money's still pouring into silver. So, get ready. Sometime in the near future, again, you're going to see the same thing take place, where the ratio 50-to-1 this time, instead of 65-to-1, goes down to 35. We may see the old 50-to-1 ratio go down to 25-to-1 or 20-to-1. It's going to happen. That's not what this video is about. Someone sent me an article, and he says, hey, this is kind of like exactly what the webbot was prepping us for last weekend, saying that around the 15th, some news, whatever, 17th, which is like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we should hear, big anticipation for the markets. Oh my God, how are the markets going to react to this? Nothing really happened over the weekend. I mentioned the G20 thing. The Europe bailout thing got passed from Slovakia, went ahead and voted for that. But again, it was only for 500 billion, and now they're basically saying, well, we need a few trillion. We need several trillion. Okay, now how are we going to make that 500 billion do anything? So I also read you the story, just maybe it was yesterday or the day before, I don't even remember anymore, about Sarkozy, French president, rushing out of the delivery room where his wife just gave birth to their child and said, I gotta go. A little couple kisses, I'm out. I gotta go talk to Germany's Chancellor Merkel. And I got an idea. They're all meeting this weekend, by the way. They're already over there. I just have a little inkling, and I could be wrong. My timing could be off, but it's not gonna be a failed prediction. It's just that the timing might be off. But then again, let me tell you why I'm backing up my timing. They're having a meeting. It's a very important one, apparently this time, more important than anything last weekend. It's looking like Europe is pretty much done. Of course, I've been saying that, and it's been showing that it's true. Keep looking how it's going. It's falling off a cliff. It's a controlled fall, but it's still falling off a cliff. And Greece went ahead. They voted for their most incredible, terribly wicked austerity measures to date. They went ahead and passed it. The Greece people are now, I'm listening to their news, and they go back and forth to English, to Greek, speaking English, and the lady's basically saying the citizens have decided they don't care about those people who are in there. There's 150 of them, or whatever she said. They don't represent us anymore. We've relinquished that capability from them, so we don't care what they do. Greece is done. So anyways, the webbot said there'd be this weekend soon, claimed last weekend, that the market's anticipation like you can't believe. How are the markets going to react to this news? Oh my God. Right? Remember that? Keep in mind, several videos ago, over a week ago, I mentioned to you about that old guy, Reinhardt, who made the unbelievable prediction that Wall Street would collapse stock market. And on the day that actually started taking place, he nailed it. No one else did, but he did. And he's this guy no one knew about. And his claim to fame is his studying of occult things and the Catholic Church, and it's the most evil thing on the face of the earth. Yet, of course, and think about that. If you were Satan himself or the Antichrist or whatever, where would you be hiding? Keep your friends closer. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer. You probably wouldn't hide inside the Catholic Church somehow, would you? No, probably not. And he claims that this group, Legatists, which is a very high-level group of very high-paid, very, very well-connected people that are of the faith, but just very well-connected in the world. And the requirements to become a member of Legatists are that you are filthy rich and usually not or, and you've got well-made connections in the political area, worldwide scene, etc. So those are the kind of people. This is kind of like a Bilderberg. The Bilderberg, right? We thought Bilderberg was at the top. Now I think Legatists actually has them beat, because Legatists is the one who tells us when the markets are going to crash. So anyways, I gave you the whole story a while back, a week plus ago. And I mentioned that the pilgrimage is what they call it at the Legatist meeting. They don't have pilgrimages all the time, but they have them every so often. And it's a gathering of these guys, these very high-level people. And they do it from time to time at Rome. And this guy Reinhardt says, it's the ones in Rome that are telling me the telltale sign, get ready for market collapse. So by chance, this weekend, the pilgrimage ends, and it happens to be one with the Legatist meeting in Rome this weekend. Right now, it's taking place as we speak, and it ends the 23rd. Today's the 21st, right? So Saturday, 22nd, Sunday, 23rd. Markets open on Monday, the 24th. And then we have all that week to just pay attention. Maybe it won't be dead on Monday morning. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, old Reinhardt nailed it last time to the day. Could we see a Black Monday? We could. Or could we see any one of those days go black as far as the markets are concerned? Yes, we could. And as I said in my previous video, or one of my previous videos about the webbot, don't pay attention to that date. Don't hold that date and then throw the whole prediction out the window just because the date came and went. I've learned my lesson on that. I'd listen to what it said, prepare for this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Here's when we think it is, it's this weekend or this date. Okay, great. Sometimes it's right on the money, blows you away. Other times, it's not right on the money. Last weekend came and went, the markets haven't done anything drastic. There wasn't this big anticipation on Monday or Tuesday of this week we're in right now of anything big. So hey, I'm going to throw away that webbot prediction. That thing's a piece of garbage. Well, you go ahead and do that. I'm going to keep it because it could be this weekend. Remember that. And why this weekend? The Legatist meeting, the pilgrimage, and it's in Rome right now. It ends on Sunday. Markets open on Monday. We're having this big meeting in Europe. This guy left his newborn baby, literally, newborn, hugs and kisses, bye, I gotta run. Why are you running out so fast, Sarkozy? Why are you going to meet the Germans, Merkel? I thought you already got your little $500 billion thing passed. Everything was good, no? Dexia Bank, you're going to nationalize it? That's not good either? So, I mean, what the hell's going on here, right? Why is he in such a hurry if everything is just fine? So, let me go ahead and read this to you. And this coincides with what the webbot's talking about. Big European crash, watch the markets, etc. And the guy that sent me this said, hey, this is like what the webbot was saying. Yes, it is. And that's why I'm here doing a video. So now that I've gotten all the little foreplay, so to speak, for you guys out of the way so you know what I'm talking about, why this weekend appears to be important. And again, I'm not sitting here putting my 100% name behind I know this is the weekend. Old J Snip 4, watch my prediction come true. I've got a lot of evidence that points to it, but I'm that guy. I'm like the newscaster. I'm not the prophecy guy. I'm just the newscaster that presents all the very, very interesting things to you. And I may say, hey, it sounds good and I think it's going to happen too. Only to find out, damn, I guess it didn't. Sorry about your luck. I'm just presenting stuff to you so you don't have to go searching all over the place. I've done all that research. I've been all over the internet. Highly technical. I know how to use search engines. I know about websites. I know about how all that crap works. It's what I do for a living. So let me do, man, my nose itches. My damn voice makes my nose itch sometimes. It's just like crazy, out of control. So I'm glad to just do the work for you and then put it in a nice little package and give it to you through my YouTube videos. And again, if you ask me, well, Joe, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be the weekend? Man, all signs, lead to Rome. Literally, all signs point to this weekend. All signs pointed to Comet Elenin doing something, and what happened with that? We had earthquakes, every single alignment, big ones, and then nothing happened. It's gone. We should be in the debris trail. What's going on? Debris trail. Nighttime. We should see something. Nothing's there. What is that? Hey, it sounded good. All the math was there, and now it's gone. Does that mean that we blew the thing up in outer space? Maybe. Or maybe it was flying by. No one knew it was going to circle around other than what NASA's telling us. And then they say, here's our JPL model for you guys to play with. Well, who programmed it to do all these coordinates and be here at this date and be there at that date? Well, they did. So we're using their tool. It'd be like using their education books to form your opinion on something, only to find out later that the education you received was completely false from day one. So that's why I also said in my very first Comet Elenin video, it's why I don't usually do videos like that. Because if I had a freaking dollar for every doom event thing coming by Earth, I'd be rich right now. And I said that in my very first Comet Elenin video. But other things were pointing otherwise, so I went ahead and reported them to you. Now, the title of this is If Europe Should Fail. Action yesterday across markets was bearish and set alarm bells ringing. In particular, the action in the precious metal sector, where the head and shoulders bottom pattern we have observed in precious metal sector stock indices appear to be aborting. If it does abort, it will probably mean that the broad market will go into the tank, and that is precisely what we can expect to happen if Europe should fail. The broad market, not necessarily the precious metal market, is what he's saying. But again, the precious metal market could come down with it, at least some, to start with. And then, of course, go to the moonshot, more likely very shortly afterwards. It has been said that up until now, we and most of the rest of the world have blithely assumed that, confronted with catastrophe, European leaders will overcome their differences and solve Europe's problems by printing up a few trillion euros to paper over the cracks, U.S. style, and keep the show on the road for a year or two longer. But it is now becoming increasingly apparent that the scale of the problems is so gargantuan that there may be no credible or workable solution. The sad fact of the matter is that the bungling, discordant, self-serving buffoons who run Europe may well have left it too late. If Europe should fail, and the markets look set to pass judgment on it next week. You mean the 24th? That week? After Legatus? Yeah, that's what he says here. After a weekend of crucial meetings, that's this weekend, and they are crucial meetings. Remember what I told you about the French president leaving his brand newborn baby to fly to Germany? It's a pretty damn big thing. Couldn't even wait one day? You couldn't make it last one day, spend that with your newborn baby and your wife? No, I gotta haul ass. Pretty big thing he had to go to, don't you think? So it says the markets look like they're set to pass judgment on it next week, and after a weekend of crucial meetings this weekend, then the consequences will be unthinkable, yet think about them we must. If Europe should fail, this is what we can expect to happen. European banks will crash and burn and take down major U.S. banks with them, which are already walking wounded basket cases anyways. We are likely to see a lengthy, unscheduled bank holiday. That's in the Webbot reports. Anyways, unscheduled bank holiday. Banks will slam their doors, and if your money is still inside their vaults, then you are out of luck. Sorry about your luck, sucker. Major disruptions in supply and distribution of food and fuel in particular will trigger general panic, and riots and mob violence will spread rapidly. What we have seen on TV happening... Oh, that's a big dumpster over there. What we have seen on TV happening in Greece will suddenly happen on the streets of the U.S. and many other countries. Stock markets will crash in a manner that will make 2008 seem like a walk in the park. Virtually every asset class and investment will crater, especially commodities, stocks, and real estate. The euro will vaporize. Keep in mind, gold and silver, those are commodities, aren't they? Yes, they are. And because they're traded with pieces of paper leveraged at least 100 to 1, for God's sakes, they could come down significantly. But you might find anyone who pulls anything out of the market, instead of that happening, dumping that into gold and silver as the prices collapse, and getting in at the bottom of silver and gold, only to ride the massive wave up. There's a number of ways this can play out. The tidal wave, now he didn't say that, I'm adding that in there. The tidal wave of funds liberated by this mass panic are going to have to go somewhere, and normally we would expect them to go into the US dollar and treasuries, but with US banks failing, even this cannot be relied upon, which is absolutely a very valid statement. The one surefire investment category that will shine, provided that the markets or brokerage houses, etc., involved with these transactions don't themselves fail, is misfortune securities, meaning bear ETFs and puts. Put options. Remember how I told you what that guy Paul Drockton said? Get the November 11/11 short on this company, that company, talking about the banks and this bank and that bank to make a small fortune for yourself. I told you I'm not playing that game. Any fortune I plan on making is in physical silver. I'm not playing their game. They created it. They did it. I'm not playing it. I'm sticking with physical, real assets, which is silver. You want to do gold? Go ahead and do gold. You want to do gold and silver? Go ahead. If you ask me, well, how much gold versus silver? I'm going to tell you 0 gold and get all silver, because you stand to make more money in silver, performance-wise. So either way, both are fine. You'll be very happy with gold, just a lot more happy with silver. The gravity of this crisis is such that we are not simply talking about protecting investments and making opportunistic gains out of the mayhem which will ensue if Europe should fail. And as Lindsey Williams said, it's going to. They know this, they want this, it's going to happen. We're talking survival issues as well, as due to the interconnected nature of the global economy, things could become very ugly very fast across a broad front. If you want to learn what life is like when banks suddenly slam their doors, then you should read about the Argentinian crisis of the early 1990s and their crash of 2001 and 2002. I've mentioned Argentina a ton of times. It's a fantastic example. I even posted a link on one of my videos to the 8 or 9 or 12 part series, I don't remember how long it was, of the Argentina collapse. If you want to watch a phenomenal video, perfectly awesome created documentary, I don't remember the title, but you could probably search YouTube now for something like the Argentina collapse or the collapse of Argentina. Not only am I asking you, I'm telling you, go watch that. You've got to see it. So if you want to know what life is like, watch that. Watch how Argentina went, what they went through. The middle class suddenly found themselves disconnected from their savings, and as many of them lost their jobs at about the same time, they became instantly destitute and forced to swap their possessions for food. Any and all possessions for food, by the way. Crime soared, and people who had been used to living relatively cushy lives suddenly found themselves living on the edge in a law of the jungle nightmare. If Europe should fail, this is what may quickly become reality, not just for Europe, but in the acutely fragile and vulnerable U.S. and many other countries as well. Remember what Lindsey Williams said, when Europe goes, the U.S. will have, we in the U.S. will have somewhere around just a few weeks, basically, to get your crap in order and get out of that market and dollar ASAP, if you haven't already. Other undesirable consequences will be unemployment rising to incredible, unprecedented levels, so that students leaving college will have almost zero chance of finding work. We're already at that level, are we not? I mean, think about that. The travel industry, much of which is non-essential, it's not, will be devastated, with airlines slashing flights and going bust, and hotels suffering extremely low occupancy rates. That's very true also. And there's a guy I work with, love him, great guy, who owns a property right here on the beach in Florida, And this property allows you to, it's only was designed from the get-go for people to buy it, buy your little house or whatever you want to call it, your room, so to speak, at this multi-story facility, and all you're allowed to do is rent it out. That was part of the agreement when the thing was first built. So you can't live in it yourself, you just rent it out. And I think it's paid for in his case. And I try to tell him, you're probably going to want to get out of that. Like, sell it. Even in this depressed market, you probably want to go ahead and get out and take the money right now. But I don't think he's going to listen, but that's okay. With things rapidly coming to a head in Europe, this catastrophic chain of events could be set in motion as early as next week. It's interesting that he's choosing next week, again with Legatus this weekend, the pilgrimage, Rome. It ends Sunday, Monday, next week. Man, this is just, if I had $1 for every coincidence that wasn't a coincidence, I'd also be rich. So stop and think about this for a moment. What will you do, and what situation will you find yourself in if banks slam their doors within the next couple of weeks, potentially? Are you starting to see where I am driving at? Good. Then here is what you do. You go down to the bank either today, Thursday, or tomorrow, which is actually today, Friday. We have the luxury of another day, which is today, and draw out a stash of cash sufficient to keep you and your family in food and essentials for at least a month, and more likely 3 months if you can. When you stroll into the bank, it will feel surreal. Everything will appear normal, and people will be standing in short lines and chatting and smiling and everything else, and you may find yourself thinking that Clive Mons, which is where most of this comes from, has lost his mind. He's off his rocker, looking around you, everything's normal. But if the danger I have described should become reality, and he's not saying it will, he's just setting you up, giving you very sound advice. If the danger I have described should become reality, then you are going to be mighty glad you visited that bank this week instead of turning up in a couple of weeks to find the doors shut and a huge crowd of desperate people outside hurling rocks at the windows. If this danger does not become reality, and there is a miracle solution to Europe's problems, and everything returns to normal, then you have lost nothing, and you can stroll right back down to the bank and put the funds right back into your account in a few weeks' time if you want, or however rapidly you want to put the money back, once you are convinced it is safe to do so. No one will think you are crazy, because of course you don't have to tell anyone why you are drawing out the money in the first place. Me, on the other hand, I'll tell you right to your face why I'm taking my money out. Why I recommend everybody else take your money out. For one thing, it's your money. Why do you let your wife stay at someone else's house? Keep her safe? They live in a safer house than you? Do you let your wife sleep over some other man's house? No. Do you let your kids stay over there, they're indefinitely over in someone else's house for security purposes? No. Why? Because that's your wife, and those are your kids. How about your car? You own your car? Yeah, okay. Do you park it at your neighbor's house because he's got a nicer, more secure fenced-in yard than you? No. Why? Because it's yours. So is the freaking money. It's yours. Yeah, but it's so easy to pay bills by clicking on buttons on my computer and PayPal. I gotta have money in the bank. You're right. And I agree. It is so much easier. And no, I personally don't run around with cash and turn it into, go into Circle K or whatever, gas station, give me a money order. I don't do that. As I told you 100 times, I keep just enough money in the bank for 1 month's approximately worth of bill payment. That's it. The rest of it comes out and usually, for the longest time now, goes straight into silver. Right now, it's going to pay off one more payment to a credit card that I used to buy a huge portion of silver, and that credit card is now going to be paid off next payment. And then I have zero debt. But what about your house? Oh, you know about my house. I'm not paying the mortgage because of major fraud and gaping holes in the chain of title, which led to other issues of fraud. My lawyer told me not to make that payment. I followed my lawyer's direction, so I'm pocketing the money and dumping it into silver. And what could happen if I had to pay it back? Or they found that it's legit. Well, then I can sell some of the silver and catch it back on the payments. On second thought, you know damn well that's not going to happen because the prices of our houses and everything else is going to collapse even more. And I wouldn't be such a bozo to sell silver to pay back the missed payments, only to find out I'm still nowhere even close to having this turd paid down to where I could even sell it. I would walk from the house at that point. Why? Because fraud was committed. That fraud led to all of the housing prices going down, all of the bust period we're experiencing right now. Housing is so incredibly deflated, it's sickening. I didn't cause it. It wasn't it was you guys who got the adjustable rate mortgages. Yeah, it was 5% of the population, or 2 or 3%, whatever it is, that got ARM rates. Yeah, that's who caused the whole thing to collapse. It was these guys, a little tiny percentage. Right. That's what the news tells you. And every time I bring up this kind of conversation with someone, that's the first words out of their mouth. Oh, those people should have never gotten houses they couldn't afford. So it's their fault for doing what society is doing. And the experts within society, your mortgage broker, etc., telling you, you can have this house, I can put you in it, I can give you affordable payments, you're set. And then all of a sudden the ARM rates, the housing market crashes, which your broker didn't tell you about because he didn't know either. He didn't care, he just wanted his commission. And now your ARM rate just went through the roof, so now your $1,200 a month payment to your house turns into $1,600 a month because your rates went up a little bit. And even if you sold it today, it's not even worth that. How's that working out for you? You shouldn't have got that loan you couldn't afford, you bozo. Yeah, you bozos who think I'm wrong, you bozos will be the last one standing in a pile of garbage realizing I should have stopped paying 2 years ago. I should have stopped paying a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. My lawyer advised me to do this. You know, another expert. Jason Nip4 is not a lawyer or an expert. However, I have studied immensely how to fight foreclosure and that kind of thing, and I can easily represent myself. I already represented myself on a fight with Chase credit card in which they begged to settle with me. Kind of like you know how the JP Morgan and friends, Chase and them, they rip off our government at the local levels with the bonds, short the market behind the scenes, make money on the ups and downs, and then gets caught red-handed, and then the Security Exchange Commission says, well, we'll set it. We know you cost billions in losses for all these municipalities and all these people. We'll just let you settle for $200 million. Okay, and we don't have to go to jail? Yep, good deal. Okay, where do we sign up? You know how they do that? That's what I did, by defending myself. They call that pro se, when you defend yourself. I didn't need a lawyer, didn't ask a lawyer for help. I just studied and learned how to do it. Signed all my documents, got all the documents, how to respond properly, motion to dismiss. I played the whole game. And the bastards begged to settle. And then I realized if I don't settle, I'm going to be spending a lot of time back and forth in court. And I'll probably end up getting out of this because they don't have any kind of documentation that I signed any agreement. That's a fact, because in their complaint, I made my motion to dismiss, I brought that fact up. And then the next thing they did is send an amended complaint to say, here's the missing documents. And when I looked at the missing documents, there wasn't a freaking signature on any of them. My name wasn't on any of them, and neither was theirs, where you would sign. It was a blank set of documents. And they had the nerve to send that to the court as if, oh, we got his application right here. Here it is. Here's the agreement. No signature, no name. My name wasn't even mentioned in the paperwork. Not even in printed. It wasn't even mentioned. But I decided at the rate they wanted to settle, I couldn't go wrong. I could not go wrong settling for the pennies on the dollar that they wanted to settle for. So I did it. And yours truly is debt-free because of that. And as I told you, I used those credit cards to buy a bunch of silver at the time too, and some solar panels and some other needed things, and then found myself selling a little bit of the initial purchase of silver that I used those credit cards for at the time to pay them off completely. And I still had silver left that I used the credit cards for, all my solar panels, all the extra goodies. That is JSNIP4's version of what these crooked banks do to all of the municipalities. Well, we'll settle out of court. We'll settle out of court, Security and Exchange Commission. Oh, you want to settle with me before trial? No problem. What's on the table? That's great. Citigroup, what do you have on the table? Citigroup was phenomenal. I didn't believe Citigroup would go as low as they did to settle with me. And they did. Again, I couldn't pass it up. Chase and Citigroup. Boom. See you, out of here. Settled for pennies on the dollar. Keep in mind, you do have to have money to settle. And one of them was willing to take 6 months of payments. The other one wanted it all up front at once. No problem. I did the one for 6 months because I'd rather not come out all that cash at once. And the other one, I did have the cash by selling some of that silver, as I told you, and paid them off like that. They do it. Why shouldn't we do it? It's there. It's legal. I didn't do anything illegal. Completely legal. They offered to settle with me. I wanted to go to court. I told them. I wrote them. We're going to settle this in court. What happened? Well, it looks like they begged me to settle, and I went ahead and took it. Because I don't want to have to, hey, I need, 2 months of time off to go defend myself in court back and forth. When you hire an attorney, he goes back and forth in court. You don't even have to show up most of the time. When you're pro se defending yourself, you've got to show up all the damn time. And the attorney that represented them in Orlando doesn't have to come in. They can call in on the phone. But you, bozo peasant, you can't call in on the phone. Take your butt down to the court. Show that judge some respect. Meanwhile, the lawyer's going to call in. He might even call in late. Doesn't matter. It's okay. He's one of the boys. He's one of the club. So, all I'm saying, there's a little more to this, but he ends this by saying, the meaning of all this is very clear. Take what you can out of your bank while you can. Get out most of your money, etc. And if this passes by and everything's cool, just put it right back. Everything will be fine. Nothing will happen. It's your money. It's not like I'm telling you to incite some kind of financial terrorist move. No, it's your money. Someone's storing it for you. If I tell you my advice is for you to take your money out and keep it safe, more safer in your house than at the bank, there's nothing. Can't tell someone's trying to, oh, Jay Step 4 is on the terrorist watch list for advising people to take their money out of the bank. No, I'm actually advising people to take their money out of the big banks and put it in the small bank, like the little credit union or local bank. That's even better. Starve the beast. Starve the freaking beast, which is the big banking system. If you don't have your money in there, they can't do anything. They could not possibly stay afloat. They would collapse tomorrow. I mean, they'd be done. So at the very least, take your money out, put it in a bank, another local bank. My decision, I'm in a local bank already. I don't play the big bank game. And I keep only a month's worth of bills in that bank. That's just how I roll. That's my opinion. So at the end of this, I'm going to say, let's roll the J.G. Wentworth commercial. Got a structured settlement? Need the cash now? It's my money and I need it now. It's my money and I need it now. J.G. Wentworth, I'll punch your mouth loose for that nonsense. But that's all I got for you guys. Is this news good or bad for gold and silver? And yeah, we may see this next week, just terrible collapse. Oh my God, I thought J Step 4 said this is bullish for gold and silver. Gold and silver just crashed with the market too. Yeah, it did. And I told you in advance so you would know in advance what to do when that happens. Go in with both hands and feet, buy all the physical gold and silver you can, place some orders immediately, because you're going to find places like AppMax and this guy and that guy, we're no longer taking orders until a week from now to see what happens with the markets. That they've already done it once or twice. They've already done it. Oh, the weekend was very volatile. Friday was very volatile. We're waiting until Monday morning. AppMax did it. Gainesville Coins, I think, did it. So you're going to have to be very quick with the mouse button on your computer. Place the order now as it's tanking, because they will update their page and stop all transactions and say, we're not selling right now. We're going to wait and see what happens. But if you can place an order before they update the web page, you're in the money. You could also run down to your coin dealer if you have one locally and immediately run in there and say, I want whatever amount of silver you've got, whatever, give it to me. But if he doesn't have the amount you want, then what do you have to do? You got to go back home, get on the computer, and frantically find a place online to buy some. And like the banks can close their doors, hey, bank holiday, so can AppMax and Monex and these other big bullion dealers. We're waiting until next week. The whole week's terrible. Everything's crashing. We're not selling any silver currently. Which, of course, would drive an immediately probably increase in the price of silver, physical silver, not the spot price. So you may say, oh, they're closed down. They're not selling it. They're not selling it. But my local dealer's got it, and the guy at the flea market's got it, and some little small coin shop over here's got it. But they want $40 an ounce right now because everyone else is not selling. And if you want it, they're willing to sell at 40. Or whatever, I'm just making that number up. And then you find yourself saying, oh crap, man, I wish I had my silver in advance. That's why you're going to have to be Johnny on the spot if this market goes down, I'm telling you. I mean not just the main market, the big stock market, but the market regarding silver, precious metals market goes down with it. You're going to have to be Johnny on the spot to get that silver and gold in your possession. So I'm going to leave you with that. And that's all I got to say for now. I don't think I'll be doing any videos later on tonight. It's Friday. It's nice out here in Florida. I'm just going to chill. So I wanted to give you one nice little big powerful video real quick. And I'm not making any of this up to make it extra powerful. I had to cover a lot of things in this video. And that's why I started the way I did and it ended the way I did. With J.G. Wentworth. It's my money and I need it now. And you're going to be saying that about your silver and gold. It's my silver. Chavez in Mexico, right? Mexico's bank. By the way, let me add that. I don't remember if I did a video on this. Mexico's bank. I forget the name of it. Central Bank. Recently did a purchase, or recently as in last year, did a purchase of 110 tons of gold from London Bullion Exchange, LBMA. And one of Mexico's journalists, somebody, they have a Freedom of Information Act there as well. It's not called the same thing as it is here. And he said, how much and what quantities of gold for each bar, how much do they weigh, and how many of them do we have as Mexico, you know, Freedom of Information Act. Took months to get it back. Some are 13 kilograms, point something, and some are 10 or whatever, point something kilograms. But there are too many, due to something, we can't give you the exact number, and due to the refining something or another, we can't give you a precise amount of gold in each individual bar per the LBMA. And that raised a red flag in this guy's head immediately. Per the LBMA. So you actually contacted the LBMA to ask about your gold, and that's the response the LBMA gave you to give to me. And he's thinking, it's in your vault, in Mexico's vault. Your Central Bank of Mexico, you got a vault somewhere. That's what he was expecting you to go tell him. Here it is in this vault. We know we've already checked in the gold. There's, 525 13 kilogram bars, and there's 279 10 kilo, etc. Instead, he gets a response that was copied and pasted from the LBMA, basically. So he said, holy crap, the gold's not here. Next Freedom of Information Act request. Again, it's not called that in Mexico, but it's the same thing. And he was very clear where, in which country, which entity, which location is the gold in question stored. Is it in Mexico's borders, or is it external to some other country, located in another country? He waited for the response. Response came back. We are reserving the reserve status on your request, something like that. I forget the name. Thank you, and that was it. And he said reserve, and I think it's called reserve status, but don't quote me. That basically means, if you look up Mexico's law, just like ours, and it's amazing that every country that has a central bank, they've got the same kind of laws, same Freedom of Information Act, same kind of central bank, same kind of responses, same everything, right? Because it's the same people. And we're issuing reserve status. We're not going to answer that. Thank you. So how does someone, not a government entity, not answer a Freedom of Information Act? Well, by saying it will drastically, and he looked it up, the reserve clause in these kind of matters, if the information can cause or potentially cause drastic market or economic problems, you may use reserve status in a request and not show them the information. The fact that all he wanted to know, where is the gold at this point? Is it in our country, yes or no? That's all I want to know. Or is it external, such as London or somewhere else? Which is it? They responded back with the reserve clause. We can't tell you that, because the reserve clause definition says it could cause terrible financial harm if we reveal the answer to that question. So let me ask you a question. This is a hard one. This is a real hard question. If the bank came back and said, the central bank, we have it stored in our vault, it's in Mexico property, it's a secret location, whatever, Mexican government, it's in the side of a mountain somewhere, thank you. Would that make the economy go bad in Mexico? People run to the banks, they're scared? Or would people feel pretty comfortable that we've got 110 tons of gold on our property in this country, basically? That's great. Now, if the gold wasn't in your country, and you paid for it already with $10 billion or whatever it costs to get that gold, you've already paid it, LBMA says we've got it, we're storing it for you, and then you told your country, we paid for it, they've got it, this is what the sheet that they gave us that tells us this is what we own. Great, where is it? it's still located in another country, and that's where we plan on leaving it. Now, that, on the other hand, could definitely cause some economic problems immediately in your country. People would be pretty worried about your gold, would they not? So because the final answer, the first request, they gave them the answer, and they copied and pasted it from the LBMA. That raised the red flag. Second request, where's the freaking gold located? We can't tell you that because it could cause financial instability. Just like Ben Bernanke said, we can't tell you where the central bank, gave all these trillions of dollars to. It could cause economic harm. And now we're finding out through the audit, and the one I mirrored today from the other guy, Moneybag73, I think his name is. We got some more little piece of an audit done here, and it looks like there's massive amounts of people who were former Federal Reserve employees, high level, were the same ones now working at banks getting all the money. That's a huge conflict of interest if there ever is one. Now you can see why the markets don't like information like that, because it in fact is bad for the markets. But it also exposes the fraud and corruption, which is also why it's bad for the markets. And that's the part they don't want you to know about, so that they put on that little label, we don't have to tell you. Because, national security. Put the old stamp on it, that's it. So, I don't remember if I did a video on that part of Mexico. That is a fact. You can go do a little research right now and see about that. This is incredible. And again, I can't wait to see, is old Chavez going to get his gold? They may have took Gaddafi. He had almost enough to give to Chavez now that he's dead. So maybe they took old Gaddafi's gold real quick. We'll put in the central bank. We'll give you guys the paper cash. Give us the gold. We got somewhere this needs to go. Okay, my friend, okay. They don't know any better. A bunch of cavemen over there that destroyed a good man, Gaddafi. Free health insurance for all citizens. Free housing. 14 cents a gallon of gas. Building a massive deep well to drill this massive pool of water underneath there. Big reservoir or whatever. Big, for whatever they call that. Everything I researched. Guy promised to give everybody free housing and wouldn't house his own parents for free until every last Libyan was housed. And he made good on that promise, and his father died before he was housed for free. Does that sound like a dictator terrorist? Maybe he was a dictator, but if you have a good dictator, and that's what the people chose, why are we over there? Now you know why. The gold's gone, everything's gone, and they just got a nice new democracy government that's taking over. And I can't wait to see what happens to the free housing, the free health insurance, the 14 cents a gallon of gas. Can't wait to see how that works out for the Libyan people. What a shame. Anyways, take care. Have a nice day.